and a whole lot more. So kick back and enjoy the Boomerang Radio Show. We come to you each and every Sunday, 3 p.m. on the West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East. And now, welcome to the set. Is that Mad Mike? I see Mad Mike there. Let's change this thing around a little bit. Mad Mike.
I was going to say your screen is kind of messed up.
No, I just didn't push the button.
I have nothing to say.
Oh, well, good. That's a first. That is a first. Oh, man.
There's no sound on Facebook.
It's,
and the picture hasn't changed. Oh, man. There's no sound on Facebook.
That's you talking on Facebook right now.
And the picture hasn't changed. All right. There's no sound on Facebook.
That's you talking on Facebook right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I've got nothing on my end. Let me reload it.
Okay. All right. Do what you have to do. But anyway, welcome everyone, and tell your friends you have time to tune in. What's happening today? We're going to talk about boy, oh boy, oh boy. 100 days. 100 days. 100 days. It seems like it's 100 days of hell. Oh my! Since this new administration came in. We see attacks on education, the economy, children, judges, allies, citizens, and a whole lot more. Man, oh man. I don't know where to start. I tell you what, while Mike is getting this thing fixed, here's the end. Let me see if I can hear something on my Facebook page. Man, oh man. I don't know where to start. I tell you. Yep, I can hear it loud and clear on my end, Mike.
Yeah, I got the boomerang picture with the six of us at the bottom, and I'm getting no sound.
Right. Well, I'm looking at your picture right now on Facebook. I can see your lips moving, and as a matter of fact, I can hear. And let me just play with what I'm hearing right now on Facebook. I can see your lips moving, and as a matter of fact, I can hear. And let me just play with what I'm hearing right now on Facebook. Okay, you heard that, right?
Yeah, it's just it's not. Yeah, my end's still messed up. Just go ahead. It's
okay.
It's a West Coast thing, I'm guessing.
Well, if you want to come back in, maybe that'll help. I don't know.
No, it's on a separate computer. It's I've got Facebook on a separate computer.
Okay, now check this out.
No, it's on a separate computer. It's I believe you.
Oh yeah. Well, there it is, right there. It's playing. So. If anyone else is having that issue, please let me know. We're also on LinkedIn. But let's see, what is our LinkedIn page? Is that Studio W The Buzz or Studio W Buzz on LinkedIn? We're on YouTube right now. Studio W The Buzz. Studio W The Buzz. So you can check us out. So absolutely. Okay. Responded to, interested. Come on in. Okay. Is that Luckman Saladin? Lord Barry? Okay. All right, so we'll figure out what's going on. But let me play this. I want to do something because this to me is heartbreaking. And if you guys, maybe a lot of you guys have. Okay, let's do this. Okay,
mine's working now. I reloaded it. It's working now.
Okay. Yep. Hey, Dr. Sims.
Hey.
Okay, how are you?
I could be better, but I'm here. How about that?
Well, we're glad you're here.
It's cold out here, and it was raining like cats and dogs yesterday. Our weather is weird.
What, did you move to South Dakota or something?
You know I didn't move to no South Dakota.
It's right cold in California. In Southern California. I can't believe it.
It's cold. It's in the 40 degrees right now.
Oh my goodness, that's hard to believe. It's kind of nice out here. It's about 70 degrees here in Virginia, and we look like we just changed places. We switched up a little bit. What's going on?
I don't know. How you doing, Mike?
I am just wonderful, Dr. Sims. Good to see you always.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to start off with this. Normally, I would start off, but I really want you guys to know this. Okay, I want that. Okay, this one right here. And we'll come back and talk about this a little bit on the other side. All right, it's loading now, and here we go.
In the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process, a 2-year-old, it is ordered that the matter be set for a hearing at 9 a.m. All right, a breaking news story just popped in my feed, and I read a little bit of it and decided to hop on camera and break it down with you guys as I react to it. Now, I just got done doing a debate about due process, about Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, about all of the topics that have been popping up regarding immigration. I'm currently in my LA hotel, and right when I get back from this debate, I see this article. Judge says 2-year-old U.S. citizen appears to have been deported with no meaningful process. No shot. Sorry, I'm still reacting. The girl was deported Friday with her mother to Honduras despite her father's efforts to keep her in the United States. The child had been with her mother and sister during a regular immigration check-in. She was deported. A federal judge is now raising alarms that the Trump admin deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to Honduras with no meaningful process. This is what I've been saying. As soon as you create a new class of people that have no due process, then anybody can be endlessly put in that new class. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if your record is squeaky clean. And if you've never hurt a fly, if you have no due process, you have no way to defend yourself. This says Honduras with no meaningful process, even as the child's father was frantically petitioning the courts to keep her in the country. U.S. District Judge Terry Doty, a Trump appointee, said the child, identified in court papers with initials VML, appeared to have been released in Honduras earlier Friday, along with her Honduran-born mother and sister, who had been detained by immigration officials earlier in the week. Can I remind you that during Trump's first term, young children were forced to represent themselves in immigration courts? This is a heartbreaking video, but I'm going to play a minute of it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Immigration Judge William Snoffer, sitting in the Immigration Court in Portland, Oregon. These are removal proceedings. Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about? You know what a lawyer is? No?
He doesn't know what it's about. He doesn't know what a lawyer is. And this is part of the problem with the way the Trump admin is conducting their deportations. Of course, in the first admin too, but a lot of times they do these slippery things. Like when they send somebody a notice in the mail, they write it in English, or they change it a little bit so that people that don't speak English don't really understand, and then they miss their court date. There are a bunch of examples like this being filed in court case after court case. And in this case, it's like this kid doesn't know what a lawyer is. This kid doesn't know why he's there in the first place. It is incredibly heartbreaking. So go back to this story really quickly. A judge on Friday scheduled a hearing for May 16th, which he said was, quote, in the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process. I mean, Trump supporters say that they only want to deport the criminals or the worst of the worst. I've heard them say that a million times. I'm sure you guys have as well. But so far, we've seen, I don't know, people with student visas who just protest get deported, like soon-to-be doctors, soon-to-be lawyers, smart people getting deported because their visa is ripped away. 2-year-olds, a Maryland father, just wild. The article continues. The child, whose redacted U.S. birth certificate was filed in court and showed she was born in New Orleans in 2023, had been with her mother and sister during a regular immigration check-in at the New Orleans Office of Immigration and Customs Enforcement on Tuesday. So while they were at the ICE office, officials detained them and queued them up for deportation. She just happened to be there during a check. What the hell? Trump admin officials said in court that the mother told ICE officials that she wished to take VML, the 2-year-old, with her to Honduras. The filing included a handwritten note in Spanish. They claimed it was written by the mother and confirmed her intent, but the judge said he had hoped to verify that information. The government contends that this is all okay because the mother wishes, but the court doesn't know that, number one, and the father also has been petitioning over and over to keep the daughter here. Let's continue with this video.
Do you have a lawyer? No? The respondent is present in court, but without an attorney. Sophia, good morning. Are Are you a little nervous this morning? See? You know what a lawyer is?
No.
No? Do you have a lawyer?
This is from Trump's first administration, let me remind you, but I'm sure the same thing is going on now. This says, the court battle ignited Thursday when lawyers for the family filed an emergency petition from Western District of Louisiana seeking VML's immediate release from ICE custody and a declaration that the girl's detention had been unlawful. They detained the 2-year-old with the family and deported her. The petition was filed under the name of Trish Mack, who the lawyers indicated had been asked by VML's father to act.
Okay. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you voted for. But these are children, man. And they are U.S. citizens. The cruelty here, I mean, I just can't fathom. I can't fathom the cruelty. It doesn't matter what race, creed, color. We're talking about children. And Dr. Sims, I know there's something in the Bible about if you hurt my little ones, if you hurt little ones, I don't know exactly what the scripture says. Maybe you want to comment on that. And I really want your take on this and Mike's take on this, because this is just evil and cruel. Dr. Sims?
First, the scripture says it's better to hang a millstone around your neck than to harm one of his children. And that's the specific words that are in the Bible.
Okay.
So it's best that you don't do anything as far as hurting his children. His children also concerns myself, you, and Mike. But for the little ones, because they're innocents, we're not so innocent now. We know a lot. But the children, well, I don't know. These days, the children are knowing a lot. So I can't too much say that. But I watched that with concerns, yes. And my concerns is as a mother, as a woman, and as a child of God, an American citizen as well. I know what's being taken place, and I have a broader spectrum. My question was they took the child, and I need to get the gist of it, because did they take the child away from the parents and sent the parents by themselves? Did they separate them? How did that happen?
Well,
But see, I have to have the ramifications, because it appears that, to me, that they took the child away from the parents and transported the sister and the mother, from what I jotted down.
No.
Okay, so
Let me
where
back
was
up.
the child
Okay,
that she got separated?
Well, this is what happened. The mom went in. She had to go to, I guess, the immigration office every 6 months to check in legally. And she was on the way to becoming a U.S. citizen. The child was born here in 2023. So the child was with her mom going to the regular hearing, not expecting anything like this to happen. They detained the mother and took the child. And now you saw the child ending up in court without a lawyer. I mean, this.
William, stop. You're killing me
go
here.
on.
I've got to get
You
in
wanna
on
play it
this
again?
because this kid that you just showed the video is a moron, number one. So let's start with that. Number two, the mom was breastfeeding that child and asked that the child go with her. The mom requested that the child stay with her. He didn't mention that until the very end. He didn't mention that she was breastfeeding.
No.
Being deported. Hold on. I listened to your video.
The child was not breastfeeding.
Can I finish, William? Are you going to do this again?
No,
Are you going to let me finish?
Tell the truth, though, Mike.
Are you going to? I'm telling you the truth. The child was being.
Let me play it again.
The child was being breastfed. He didn't mention that at all. And they were deporting the mother. Deporting the mother is a whole nother story here. That's a separate issue. Why are they deporting her when she's doing her check-in and she's doing everything she's supposed to do and she's on the way to a path to become a citizen? So that's a separate issue in itself, and I've got issues with that, definitely do. But keeping that baby with a breastfeeding mother is the proper thing to do if they're going to move anybody around. That whole video that kid showed, that was a dramatization. That didn't happen. That's fake.
That's what was
You don't put a child. Hang on, let me finish. You don't put a child in court and put earphones over it so it can be translated to Spanish. And that was all a dramatization. That was all done for effect. That was not real. The kid didn't tell you that, did he? That was true. You don't put a child in front of a judge without a parent being there or without an attorney being there. You don't walk this little child in there and sit him down at the table. That's not what ever happens in court. And you can claim that was a real video, but that wasn't. That was a dramatization.
You're talking about two separate stories, Mike. Two separate stories. Did you see those two children? They are not of breastfeeding age.
That was and the reason why, and
that was a dramatization. He even said that was done during the first term of Trump.
Yeah, and that was years ago. But my thing, yes, he did. Yes, he did. He said it. He said it.
You guys want to hear this again?
Play it again.
He said
play
it was
again.
During
play
his
the
first
end
term,
of it again.
But before you play it again, because I'm looking at, and this is just me as a mental health specialist and looking at the case system. I've been to courts and things like that. Okay. I have a cousin who's a district attorney. Well, she's pastoring now, but, and she did her internship with Maxine Waters. These kinds of cases are not valid. And the reason why I said that is because if you look at the innocence of a child, and when they're sent to court in that manner, they cannot speak up for themselves. They don't know the right from the wrong in the judicial system. So that's putting the child through undue justice. And I don't believe our court system would do anything like that. My number one feeling, okay? Because that's causing trauma on the child. And then the reason why I presented the question the way I did, because it looked fictional to me. And the reason why I said that, if I could finish, the reason why I said that is because as inhumane as it looks, I have to reflect back on the children that were brought over here during another president's regime, and they were put in like a concentration camp type thing, and they were with adults there. But a lot of these children come over and they are trafficked over. And so I was trying to get clarity on this about the parents. My thing is because one parent wanted to take the child with her, they would not have denied her. I don't believe that. And my other issue is this, because I heard the border czar when he made his declaration about parents saying, well, my child was born here, because they've been using that as a crutch now, because a lot of them knew the system and they were coming over here to bore their children on purpose over here. That would give them a safe haven of staying, but it was still against the law because they still came over here illegally using that kind of method to stay over here. The borders are clearly stated. And this was, if we go back and listen to Obama's declaration, I'm listening to all the presidents, okay, that we've had in the past. And they have declared if they come over here illegally, they don't care what the age or whatever, they were going back. This is one of the things that they were trying to stop because they were using that as a method to stay over here because a child was here. They would bring pregnant women over as well, okay, over here. And my thing is this, because that was a method of manipulation of the system. And they're dealing with illegal. The borders are clearly stated that if your child is here, okay, then you can take, or the parent that says, well, I was born here and I had family members or whatever they said, but they said that you could go back with them, okay, especially at a very young age. We're not going to have the child stay here, okay, and you go over because that's family. And that's an injustice. And that's what the borders are stressed from the beginning. Now, you'd also show that even with the illegals and what have you, when they were saying they were going to arrest the criminals, and they did do a lot of that, but you had people who were going against them even addressing the criminals and what have you. And I don't want to get way off the mark, but I have to get it all in a nutshell, because when I listen quite closely, it's like some are making excuses of not looking at what illegal means. And my thing is, if I do something illegal, I'm going to jail. And I'm a US citizen, you understand, and born and raised here. But the judicial system with our borders, if you cross, there is a due process. A lot of these folks aren't doing due process. They're not even thinking about it. And so this is what the borders is dealing with, because you have sick coming over here, mental issues. They emptied out their prison systems. They knew what they were doing. And so to clean up America, we have to also see where the overabundance of border jumping over the border, where it transpired. I mean, we have to put it where it is. And my thing is this, is that, yeah, people want freedom and what have you. They want to come over here, live the good life and things like that. And that's fine, but do it the legal way. But a lot of these folks are not doing it the legal way. They're making it sound like some of these radicals are making it sound like, and I'm just for what's right on the table. Regardless, left, right, it doesn't matter. Illegal, to me, the word illegal is doing something that is against the rule of this land, period. You have to follow the guidelines. There is due process, but some of these people have been over here for years, and now they're trying to squawk because they are getting deported back because they had time. Does that make sense? They had time. They've been here. I'm talking about for years.
But this is not the case that we're talking about.
I understand what you're saying. It's about the child, and I get it. And I said that. I said it was wrong as far as having a child in court. But that is not right, because that to me is fabricated.
This is not the case that I'm talking about. And Mike, you're misleading the audience because you are wrong.
I'm not.
Well, let me finish. Okay. So what I'm saying is you are conflating probably two different cases. Those two children that you saw come into that courtroom were not breastfeeding age. They were 2 years old.
That was fake. Right. It was made years ago. That's fake. Right. It's a dramatization. You can't tell the difference between real video. That was a fake video. That was done for dramatization. That's how they get close-up videos of the kid's face. Give me a break. That was and you don't have cameras in court like that. You have widespread. You have William. You have widespread cameras that show the courtroom. You don't have close-ups of the kid's face.
Guess what?
That's a fake video that was done for dramatization. So stop.
You down until
stop.
No, you stop.
No, I'm not coming down because you're misleading everyone.
Guess what? You are gaslighting the audience. You are
talking. I am not. I'm telling the truth. Go back and look at the video. You can see that it was a dramatization.
But the man did say it was done during the first regime of Trump. He did say that.
Well, guess what?
He said.
Well, guess what?
And that's 9 years ago.
He was evil then too. My point is, if you want me to be quiet while you're speaking, you be quiet while I'm speaking.
Well, then do the same for me, because you were talking over the top of me.
Guess what?
Yeah, you set a record.
I'm speaking right now.
Within the first 10 minutes of this, you gave me a headache.
I'm speaking right now. Then I will. You can say whatever you want to say, and I will be quiet.
Sorry, Dr. Sims.
No, you let me. No, I'm talking right now.
I'm apologizing to Dr. Sims.
Well, you can apologize all you want. I don't care. Not my point. What I'm getting at, you are conflating things, because we have part of our audience right now. I do not have the video. Okay, part on audio. Some on audio. Will you stop talking over me? Some are
when you start telling the truth.
No, why don't you start telling the truth? Because what you're going to get on, you want to gaslight. I'm not going to let you do that. The point that I'm getting at is that you came up with something about breastfeeding, and anybody that saw that video, those were not of breastfeeding age. And we're talking about
weren't her kids. Mike, that video was made years ago.
Mike, I'm talking.
Tell the truth. The video was made
No.
years ago. Go back and play it again. I defy you. I defy you to play that video again at the end where he said this was made during Trump's first term. That is not her kids.
Well, it doesn't matter.
And that's a dramatization. Those are actors. Actors.
Well, so what? It happened. Whether
No,
it
they
was
were
a
actors.
dramatization, whether it was a dramatization or not, it happened.
Not like that. It
Because
didn't.
Mike, yes, it did. It was a 2-year-old, and you want to get on here and you want to gaslight the audience and say that the mom was breastfeeding the baby. That's a whole different story. That's an entirely different story. This girl, 2-year-old, as a matter of fact, 3 children, U.S. citizens that were born here, because you have birthright citizenship here in the United States. It's in the Constitution. Okay? I know that. Maybe you don't. These
I'm
people,
not arguing that part.
no, your birthright, and we're talking about a 2-year-old. The story is not made up. Whether it was a dramatization or not, it is a true story. These were 2-year-old. And I tell you something, what happens is they detained the mom, and the mom went there to her regular checkup like she was supposed to do. And yes, she is here legally. She is not a citizen yet because you have to go through a process, Dr. Sims. You have to go through a process to become a citizen. Yes, you have people over here that are illegal and they've been here for years. Yes, deal with that. But we're talking about U.S. citizens. You cannot deport a U.S. citizen. And yes, they'll bring the child into court because the child can't afford a lawyer. The judge would appoint a lawyer
They
to the
don't
child.
take a lone child into court. Where are you getting this?
Will you, Mike? What?
They
And
don't
you
take a child into court by itself. Never.
Well, the child
Never.
didn't have a lawyer because the child can't afford a lawyer. The family can't afford a lawyer. The judge, she has the right to have a lawyer appointed to her. That's the way it happens.
She asked the child remain with her because she's breastfeeding.
No. And the father says,
Yes.
the father said, and the family and the father says, we want petition that the child stays with us. Okay, the mother's in custody. And it was a handwritten note in Spanish, and the judge says he needed to verify the note. Because who knows? ICE may have made up the note because they're doing a lot of nefarious things anyway. Okay, so you talk about, and for you to say to the audience that the mom was breastfeeding that 2-year-old, that's a lie.
How do you know? How do you know?
How do you know?
Were you there?
Enough stuff. You weren't
How do
either.
you know?
Because you can look at the child and see that the child is not a breastfeeding age.
What you
The
look
child
at? What
walked-
child?
the
What child did you look at?
Which one did you look at? Both of them walked in the
You talking
office.
about the fake video?
Did you see somebody carrying a baby in there?
Did you see that video was made years ago during Trump's first term, and the guy admitted it? Those kids were actors, as was the judge. They were actors. Go back and look at the video. You can see it was shot for drama purposes. That was all an act.
So are you trying to tell me that this administration is not illegally deporting people that are citizens and that should be here?
Hey, now you're conflating two different things.
I'm not complaining
Stick to
anything.
one. Stick to one.
I'm sticking to what
I
want to
said
do.
initially. I said it was wrong for them, as the facts that I understand, it's wrong for them to deport the mother because she. If you remember what I said she was doing everything correct. She was checking in. She was there with her 3 kids, including the baby, and she was checking in. And they took her into custody, and they gave no proper process to that because she was doing everything right.
Well, you proving my point.
However, when they just now this is a separate.
Well,
This
my
is separate. When they decided to deport her, which they, in my opinion, they should not have done because she was doing everything correct. When they decided to deport her, the mother asked that the child, her children, as a mother would, a good mother, she wanted her children to stay with her, including the baby that was being breastfed.
That
And you
wasn't a
can't
baby.
tell me
Oh, come on.
that
The child was
video
2
doesn't
years
show a
old,
baby
right?
because it was made 8 years ago.
You're talking about a 2-year-old citizen that they deported.
The mom wanted the baby to stay with her, and
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
appropriate that the baby stay with her no matter where she goes, whether she stays
And
in the
how do
U.S.
you-
or she leaves the U.S.
and how do you
her
know-
children should stay with the mother.
And how you know this administration isn't lying about that because it was a hand.
How do you know they're
It was
they
a
aren't?
hand because the judge didn't even know because he says a handwritten note that hadn't been verified. Did you catch
According to
that
this
part?
idiot the video
That's
that you
not an
showed,
idiot.
according to that moron.
Oh,
And
really?
he's a moron because he didn't tell the whole truth.
That is not.
And
He's not.
he put that video forward that you believed. And if you go back and look at the video, you can see that it was shot for dramatic purposes. That's
Well,
a
you
fake
can't.
video.
Oh no, they have cameras in courts. They have cameras. I'm gonna play the video again. Let me do this again.
Please.
When you
And then-
get it up, can I just make this one statement, please?
You can go and make it
Uh,
while I'm pulling it up. Go ahead.
All right. A lot is going on to cause mental duress in society today, and a lot of fabrication. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, William. Anybody on this panel, but there's been a lot of fabricating to cause an unrest. And right now, even the Bible talks about it, about being led away through dishonesty and manipulation and creative manipulation. And we know that that is a lot of going on. That's why there's such a confusion, because people not realizing that things are so generated now with the new upgrade system to make you believe a thing that is not actual. And that's why I question the way I do, because a lot of stuff will make you believe it, because we're not keen on the new computerized generatorial processes. And my thing is this, that's why I had to take a sabbatical, because I was getting confused about some things. Now, you know, with me, with my educated self, uh, getting confused about what's real and what's not. And I had to step back from reading a lot of stuff out there, because there's a whole lot of lying going on, a whole lot of lying going on. And it's for a purpose, for these false generated things that are coming forth. That's to keep people unrest and at each other's throats. I looked up the word, I looked up the court case about is it profitable for a child to be in court without proper representation as far as adults and attorney? They said normally that is not done. It says the court
Yep.
may determine that a child does not need representation. It just says if they are deemed capable of understanding the nature of the proceedings, advocating effectively on their own behalf. And that is deciphered before the child steps into the courthouse. However, it is not expedient if a child does not know, does not understand. They will offer representation. In general, it says the child can be in court without adult representation, Mike, but it just says that there are certain conditions on this. The child is not common and requires specific circumstances. It requires, I'm sorry, let me say, but this is not common and requires specific circumstances, such as courts in California, for instance, will typically appoint counsel for a child unless it's determined that the child understands the proceeding and can advocate effectively and would not benefit from representation. If the counsel is not appointed, court appointed special advocates, it calls a CASA, those are acronyms, volunteers may be appointed. However, it does says there's certain circumstances where it has to involve a family law case like custody or visitation. These are the court cases that they generate, or if the child is a witness to possibly some crime or what have you, that can give proper testimony. But the child is not inducted into a case or into the court in the realm that I'm looking at with that video show today. That is inhumane to me, and I don't believe our court system would do something like that.
Correct.
That doesn't tell me much about the judges that are sitting there. And we can't just blame one person. You have to look at the judicial system. You have to look at all who is going into play with this sort of thing. And I just don't, it just doesn't feel right, set right in my spirit when I saw that today. That's why I questioned, because it looked fabricated. And the reason why I say that, and not giving no kind of pun intended or anything like that, that's just me thinking as an individual. As I forestated, there's a lot of stuff that's being projected today, and we have got to be careful what we take into our spirit and make it legit, because there is an agenda to keep the divide among many of us, and it's working quite well. And so that's why the push on AI, I mean, it is phenomenal. Like I said, I had to step back and, like, you know what? I was so confused at a point, and I had to really just step back from the news, because the news was saying one way thing. You go to TikTok, they're saying something else. It looks authentic, but there was too much of a conflict, and I can't have my mind going that way.
Yes.
And it is geared and designed, and it also is causing people to get sick. There's a whole gamut of things that's happening right now. People are getting mentally ill, they're getting physically ill. So we got to really be careful on these things. And we've got to have, I don't go for wrong, I go for right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. And if it's right, it's right. If it smells stinky, then it smells stinky. I can't put it any other way. And that's my theory. That's just my theory.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. What I'm saying to you is that. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Let me go back here. I'm going to play this other one, and we're going back there. What I'm saying to you is, Mike was misleading because.
Nope.
Yes.
Nope,
Let me finish.
No, I'm not going to let you finish because you're calling me a liar, and I'm not. I'm telling you, you don't like my truth.
No, your truth is yours, Mike. The point is, you are telling the children, 2-year-olds, and you want the audience to believe that the 2-year-old, the mom was breastfeeding a 2-year-old child?
Oh, yeah, they do breastfeed 2 years old. Where you been?
What? Are you serious right now?
Yes, there's some children that get breastfed until they're 4 years old.
It does happen.
Yeah,
but these children walked into the courtroom.
That was fake.
Mike, whether it was dramatization.
That was a dramatization. Play it again and you can see. You don't have camera. How is that camera 2 inches from that little boy's face and his big brown eyes? That was a dramatization. You never see court video that looks anything like that.
Cameras can zoom in.
Now who's gaslighting, William?
Huh? You are.
Now who's gaslighting? You are. Because you're trying to do what that young man did. He's trying to present that video as if it was truth. It was a dramatization. Play it again and you can see it.
Well, I'll play that one. No, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to this one.
No. Whoa. No, play that one, William. Especially where he says this was filmed back during Trump's first term. Play that one. Because you're gaslighting. You're gaslighting now.
No, you're gaslighting. You are gaslighting.
Play it.
Hold on.
Mike, the truth is in the pudding. Play it.
I'll play it when I get ready, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you. Here we go.
A citizen with no meaningful process, a 2-year-old, it is ordered that the matter be set for a hearing at 9 a.m. All right, a breaking news story just popped in my feed, and I read a little bit of it and decided to hop on camera and break it down with you guys as I react to it. Now, I just got done doing a debate about due process, about Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, about all of the topics that have been popping up regarding immigration. I'm currently in my LA hotel, and right when I get back from this debate, I see this article. Judge says 2-year-old U.S. citizen appears to have been deported with no meaningful process. No shot. Sorry, I'm still reacting. The girl was deported Friday with her mother to Honduras, despite her father's efforts to keep her in the United States. The child had been with her mother and sister during a regular immigration check-in. She was deported. A federal judge is now raising alarms that the Trump admin deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to Honduras with no meaningful process. This is what I've been saying. As soon as you create a new class of people that have no due process, then anybody can be endlessly put in that new class. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if your record is squeaky clean. If you've never hurt a fly, if you have no due process, you have no way to defend yourself. This says Honduras with no meaningful process, even as the child's father was frantically petitioning the courts to keep her in the country. U.S. District Judge Terry Doty, a Trump appointee, said the child, identified in court papers with initials VML, appeared to have been released in Honduras earlier Friday, along with her Honduran-born mother and sister, who had been detained by immigration officials earlier in the week. Can I remind you that during Trump's first term, young children were forced to represent themselves in immigration courts? This is a heartbreaking video, but I'm going to play a minute of it.
Notice how the courtroom is empty, by the way.
I am Immigration Judge William Snoffer, sitting
That doesn't matter.
in the Immigration Court in Portland, Oregon. These are removal proceedings
and they take pictures of the feet. Did you see that? They took pictures of his
You
feet.
understand what these proceedings
No.
here in court are all about.
But rewind it.
You know what a
Rewind it
lawyer
10
is?
seconds. They took pictures of his feet.
What does it have to do
Show
with
me
you?
a court camera that shows pictures of kids' feet.
Mike, you don't know every court, and you don't know what
He
the
doesn't know
hell
what
you're
it's
talking
about. He doesn't know what a lawyer is.
Okay.
And this is part of the problem
Look
with the
how
way the
close
Trump
that camera
admin
is
is
to that
conducting their
child's face.
deportations. Of course, in the first admin too.
Cameras have zoom
But
lens,
a lot of
Mike.
times they do these
don't know that?
slippery
Cameras
things.
don't work that way,
Like when
William.
they send somebody a notice in the mail, they write it in English or they change it a little bit so that people that
just
don't
have to
speak
rewind
English
this.
don't really understand, and then they miss their court date. There are a bunch of examples like this being filed in court case after court case. And in this case, it's like this kid doesn't know what a lawyer is. This kid doesn't know why he's there in the first place. It is incredibly heartbreaking. To go back to this story really quickly, a judge on Friday scheduled a hearing for May 16th, which he said was, quote, in the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process. I mean, Trump supporters say that they only want to deport the criminals or the worst of the worst. I've heard them say that a million times. I'm sure you guys have as well. But so far, we've seen, I don't know, people with student visas who just protest get deported, like soon to be doctors, soon to be lawyers, smart people getting deported because their visa is ripped away. 2-year-olds, a Maryland father, just wild. The article continues. The child whose redacted U.S. birth certificate was filed in
ripped
court
away
to show
when
that
he
she was
stayed with
born
the
in New
breastfeeding
Orleans in
mother. That was ripped
2023
away.
had been with her mother and
hold on.
sister during a regular immigration check-in at the New Orleans Office of Immigration and Customs Enforcement
That was
on
this
Tuesday.
year.
So while they were at the ICE office, officials detained them and queued them up for deportation. She just happened to be there during a check. What the hell? Trump admin officials said in court that the mother told ICE officials that she wished to take VML, the 2-year-old, with her to Honduras. The filing included a handwritten note in Spanish
Requested
that
by the
claimed was
mom.
written by the mother.
There's a key in there that I think we all missed when he said something about they're
was-
getting deported for protesting and they're holding up their flags while they're here on visas. That is a no-no. That is a no-no.
I mean,
Number one.
let's address this one right here.
Okay.
Address
Okay.
this one right here. Okay.
All right.
Number
How
one,
come you didn't let it play to the end where it says it was recorded 8 years ago?
it didn't say that.
Okay.
No, as a matter of fact, did you hear what he
Yeah,
said?
because you cut it off. Why didn't you let it play,
Mike,
William?
It said that
Gaslighting.
you are, because it said that the
You
trial
cut the,
date
you
is
cut
for
the
May-
video. Why'd
the
you cut the
trial date
video?
is for
Because
May
you were wrong.
16th.
You
The
cut the
now-
video because you
Mike,
were wrong. Admit that you were wrong.
I am not going to admit because I'm not. Did
Play
you
the
hear-
end of the video.
Did you hear the guy said that the trial date is set for May 16th of this year?
The video and that
You
information
missed
is
it.
two separate things.
Mike, and you talking about
Play the end of the video, William. You're wrong.
you are Mike. It's for this year, May 16th of this year. Did you hear that?
That's separate from the video. You're not getting it, William. That's separate from the video. The video is a dramatization.
Well,
The facts that you're saying right now are true, but the
Mike.
video is fake.
No,
Admit it.
no,
Play
no,
the
no,
end of the video. I
No.
dare you. Play the end of the video.
no. You
I
don't
dare
dare me to do anything now. This is what I'm going to say. This is exactly what I'm going to say. I'll give it. Maybe it is a dramatization,
Maybe they're taking pictures of his feet under the table. Give me a break.
but I tell you what, the story is true. The story is true. That doesn't change the story. And like Dr.
So let's
Sims,
talk about the story
Dr.
instead of
Sims,
showing the fake video.
Mike, I'm talking, please.
Well,
Dr.
I have to
Sims-
interrupt because you won't
Mike,
listen.
No, no. You
Why
listen.
am I here if you won't listen?
Well, because we're going to talk one at a time. This is how we're going to do this.
Well, then
Okay.
tell the truth.
Well, you tell the truth because Mike, you are
I have been.
gaslighting. You are gaslighting. The story is.
I am. Is the video real or fake, William?
Is it a? I don't know what it
Is the
or
video
not.
real or fake?
I do not know. I don't know, but I know.
I
the
do.
story. I know the story is true. I know the story is true.
The story is true.
Dr. Sims just debunked what you said earlier when in her reading. She said
No,
no.
she didn't.
the child- yes, she did. She said the child does not necessarily have to be represented by a lawyer when it comes to court. Is that what you said, Dr. Sims?
In some cases.
In some cases.
The child,
child
and
can
also it talks about
understand.
Will you let her finish, please,
it
Mike?
talks about the juvenile age and also the circumstance of the case.
That's right.
And it wasn't based on this, but I'm listening to both of you and I get it. I get the feeling. But if you were to go, William, and I have to say this, if you were to go with some of the things that I have looked at, because I'm a researcher, you know, and I love knowing the law and knowing cases and what have you. Some of this stuff the people are even getting tired of. And the reason why I say that is they said they need to stop lying. And these are the statements that they're making because they're generating these things, even falsifying um, titles and what have you. And then, too, you have some people in this day and time are glory seeking. You have people in this day and time who are getting their ratings up through false information, and they're manipulating the story. They're giving you just slight truths, which is really not truth at all. And they are manipulating the words. And he put a lot of stuff in there. And I'm like, wait a minute, this something sounds fishy with this guy. And the reason why I said that, because I have to listen really attentively when he was saying something about, I believe he was saying, I don't know if he was talking about the person being a protester while having
No,
their
no, no,
visa.
no.
Okay, so he did mention that about protesters while they're having their visas taken. So he's tying two things in together, and it makes it sound legit. But if you don't listen really
Yes.
closely to it, you'll believe the hype that he's making. And he's getting ratings for that. What he's doing is he's picking little things from little spaces and he's putting them all together to magnify it. And it is not legit what he's talking about.
No,
He's
no,
fabricating a whole lot of things in there,
I
William, a
disagree with
whole
you
lot.
wholeheartedly. I disagree.
And
When
that's
you
fine.
say-
You
She's
have
right.
that choice.
She's right, William.
Mike, I was talking to Dr. Sims. I
That's fine,
disagree.
but she's right.
No, she's not. Dr. Sims, I disagree. I disagree because he was telling you the different things that this administration was doing.
Because he
And he
hates
broke it.
Trump. You have to understand that.
He was
William, can I just say this to you, please? And so that and I have to say this because I had to back up. And the reason why, if you knew the Bible like I do, it reminds me of, and I have to say this to you, it reminds me of when Jesus was here. And just hear me out. You had the scribes and Pharisees. They were notorious for fabricating, even though they were biblical men. And what they did was they hated what he was doing. Because what was happening is that he was showing the Pharisees and Sadducees up. They were learned men and, you know, they had it all going together and learning the scriptures, but they weren't living the hell of beings. And the thing is, he was doing what they were supposed to be doing. This is in the Bible now, written eons ago. And he's doing what they are supposed to be doing. But because of their hatred and envy of this man, and they went against him, they fabricated, they took him to the Roman uh, king, they fabricated. The king said, I find nothing wrong with this guy because he's doing good. They got mad because the people were gravitating to him. And I had to sit down and pray and ask God to really help me with what's going on today because I can't get excited anymore. I'm not going to do it. And my thing is this, I said, this almost like sounds like similar, okay? And I don't care what regime is in office. If you're doing good for the people and one regime is not, okay? And now they're squawking and screaming. I said, I had to parallel God. I was in my kitchen baking bread. And so he gave me that. He said, look at this and you could parallel this. And this is something I'm not fabricating. It's something I'm seeing, actually seeing and living it. Okay. And my thing is, and I'm not saying who's a lie. I'm just saying a lot of stuff is being fabricated. And we've got to be careful. We got to be careful what we put out there. We got to be careful because there's a whole lot of divide. And I keep saying this, it is done on purpose. And some of these charlatans that are on the TikTok, the media and things like that, and I'm not one-sided, I'm for truth. Just tell the truth. Don't don't build it up to make yourself look good and put bits and pieces, which is not really much of anything, to make yourself look like you're telling the truth.
okay.
And I looked at this guy. I did. And he was putting so much in because he's building his hate report.
No, that's not
Because
it.
yeah, he
That's
has
not
a
it.
hatred. No, he has a hatred. Yes, he does.
He has a
has a
dislike for
hatred.
evil. No,
He
no, no,
has
no.
a hatred for President Trump.
Well,
And
guess what?
there's no here or there. And
Oh,
this is going on in the nation.
Well, you
There
can't
is a, and
compare
they keep
Trump to
spewing
Jesus
it.
Christ, Dr. Sims.
There, listen, There was no truth to their hatred. They hated him because they were jealous,
But
envious
that's
of
Jesus.
what he was doing. No, listen, he uses us the same way. And I'm
But how
suffering
you gonna
that
compare
now. No, no,
Jesus to
no.
Trump?
Listen, I'm not comparing Jesus to Trump.
Oh,
I'm
come on.
comparing the history, the regime, the appetites, the envy, the response. It's almost one and the same. And I'm like, yeah, Jesus was doing good. He was resolving some things. He was lightening the load on the people where they were putting heavy loads. So if you knew your history as far as the Bible, you can see where I'm coming from.
No, I can't
Mike,
because you comparing Trump to Jesus.
I
No, she's not.
I'm not comparing. I can't
So
compare
how
Trump to Jesus.
how does how
I'm
does it make any
comparing.
sense though?
I'm comparing. If you would listen, what I'm saying is this: he was doing good. Jesus
Who
was
was?
doing good.
Yeah, Jesus
Okay,
was.
hear me well. Jesus was doing good, and they
Okay.
got mad because he was doing what they were supposed to have been doing, and
Okay.
they did not. What they did was they walked in arrogance. They walked with their heads up high. They made the people bow down to them. They made the people suffer. Okay. They preached a good game and they didn't follow through with their own game. And when Jesus came here, he showed them up. He showed the people, you've made what they said they were supposed to do a curse. You made it a hardship on my people. I'm going to show you that that's not the case here. I'm going to do what they said they did, we're going to do, and they didn't do it. So I had to do kind of somewhat of a parallel because we got a lot of people talking a good game. I mean, in my life, I could just go here, just not with Trump or Obama, whoever. It doesn't matter. If anybody talks a good game and don't follow through with it, then that is a slap in my face. Okay. Me as a human being who is looking for you to come through. But then you get somebody that comes from the outside. Say, forget Trump. Somebody comes from the outside, and what they do, they're actually doing what you said you're going to do, and you didn't follow through with what you said. Now you're mad because the people are gravitating to the person who came straight from the outside and who was exemplifying the word that they so easily spewed and did absolutely nothing with it. Now they want to hang him dry. And this is the word. This is the word. And you can't dispute the word. They want to crucify him. He did evil. There was no evil that Jesus did. And I had to parallel the synopsis of the story because to me it parallels in some reason. No, Trump doesn't compare. None of us compares to Jesus. None of
So
us.
what's the point then?
My
What's your
point
point?
is that promises were made. It made a hardship on the people. They didn't follow through with what they said they were going to do and how they're supposed to live it, how they're supposed to be example, how they love this, that, and the other. But here comes Jesus. Okay, he did everything that they said that they were exemplifying. He
Okay.
showed them instead of did a lot of talking. He showed them. That is Bible. And I can give you scriptures on it to
Okay.
let
But
you
I
know
don't see how
because
this compares.
everything is biblical here.
I don't,
Everything.
I don't see
This
how
is
this compares, Dr. Sims.
everything is biblical here.
Well,
If you were a scholar in the word of God, you would
I
understand
understand her.
everything
but
that is transpired, even through the society, everything is biblical. The Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. It is what it is. Whatever is happening, yeah, we got to render unto Caesar that is Caesar. That was happening, that's happening today. We got to render to the government, we got to render to the laws. Everything is as it is. It cannot be separated. And in Thessalonians, Second Thessalonians, the Lord said, I give you kings, I give you leaders. And he
mm,
says, he said, this is my doing. And so we have to look at the whole package. If you don't look at the whole package, there is a parallel. There's a parallel out there in the world, and everybody's crying Jesus, but they're living like ferret. They living like hellish people. Okay, they're speaking a good game, but their actions are something totally different. That is the Bible. There is nothing new under the sun, and I can't twist it or change it. Yeah, there's a whole lot of gaslighting going on. It's in the world. It is.
mm,
That's why there's such a separation. I've been teaching on this, and it's in the church. I mean, it is horrible.
okay.
Okay.
Well, let me
what is
speak.
going on.
Let
And
me speak.
injustice is injustice, and it's everywhere. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. It's everywhere.
But see, like the reason why I don't get it, because yes, Jesus did amazing, amazing things. Okay. How does that compare to today? Because Jesus is not here in the White House, but
You
people are
missed the
treating him.
whole point,
People are,
William.
Michael, let
Jeez.
me finish.
You missed the whole point. This
No,
evening.
because there is no point. There is no point because
Really?
Jesus
Really?
is a whole different. This is a whole different situation.
I just
We were
gave the
talking
scenario
about
of the story
Dr.
and the
Sims.
deed.
Dr. Sims, please. We're talking about a
Jeez.
charlatan, a grifter, a thief, a convict in the White House, and you're gonna compare him to Jesus?
I
That's
was
not what you
comparing to. I was not
Well,
comparing him to
then there's
Jesus.
no point. Who
What?
are you comparing him to?
Don't be rude, William, because
No, I'm
I'm
not
not
being
rude
rude. I'm
with
just
you.
asking a question.
I am not rude with you. Don't do that,
I'm
because
not being rude. I'm asking a question.
you've done that to me too many times, and that's why I hesitate to speak, because you're rude to me, and
I'm
I
not.
don't like it. I don't like it, because I'm
Well,
not going to
I'm
be
just
rude to
asking a
you.
simple question, and I can't seem to get an answer. Who
I've
are you
given you,
comparing?
okay, I'm not comparing. I'm looking at the parallel of the deed. Now, you cannot sit there and say that man hasn't done anything good. You can't. That the very things that
Really?
even, let's go here, since you want to go here,
Yeah,
that
let's go here. What have
that
he
the
done? What has he
Democrats
done
have
good?
spewed, and Democrats have spewed, well, we're gonna take
Yeah.
care of the border. Obama, everyone, Hillary, all of them, and they did nothing with it. What they did was Obama put kids and families in concentration camps and
No, he
gave them
did
this
not.
little flag. Yes,
Yes,
he
he did.
did.
He deported
Yes,
them. He
he-
deported. No, he
He was the
deported
first one
them
to
my
build the
in
goodness.
cages.
He did not
Oh
put
my
them in
goodness.
cages. No, he did not. That's
Yes,
a
he
lie.
did.
Yes, he did.
That
Yes,
is a lie.
and they showed it all on the
That
news,
is
William.
a
I don't know
lie.
where your head is at.
That
They
is a
showed it on
lie.
the news, and they gave them
No,
something looked like what I mean,
Space
paper,
blankets. The
that
aluminum
space
was under
blankets
foil
are
Trump's
Milo.
as
administration.
cover, as
That was
No,
under
cover.
that was
Trump's
during
administration.
No,
during
it was
Obama.
not. No, it
That
was
is a lie.
not.
That's
Oh
a
my
lie.
goodness. No, it
That
wasn't,
is a
William.
lie.
I'm going to
Nope.
find it for you.
That,
Okay.
please find it for me.
So I
And
will, because
because that
that's not a
happened under
lie.
Trump. Obama
No.
deported a lot of illegal, what you call aliens or whatever it
But
is.
the way he detained them
No,
is what I'm trying to tell
He
you.
did not put them in cages.
Yes,
Oh,
he
I
did.
didn't say
Not.
cages.
Yes,
It
he
was
did.
one major.
Lie.
Oh my goodness. Let me find it for you.
That's an out and out lie.
She's telling
If
the
you
truth,
don't know if
William.
it's
No, she is
actual,
not.
don't call it a lie until you find out it is one. You
I
don't
already
know
know
it
it
is,
is.
and you
Do
speak
your
that
own
so
research,
loosely,
William.
and you don't
While
know.
you're finding that, I'm going to play this one.
More lies. Why did you play the end of the first one? Because you're wrong and you know it.
U.S. District Judge says the deportation, quote, had no meaningful process.
And this
Fox
is from
26's
Fox.
Jonathan Mejia spoke with their attorney representing the family. Jonathan, they're saying these mothers had no legal options available to them.
That's right, Rashi. The attorney told me that these deportations were shocking, surprising, and deeply troubling, as these families were detained and had no option to seek legal help.
This is a family that did have legal options available to them. And because of ICE's actions of holding them incommunicado for 3 days, those options were not able to be pursued. And that can't feel anything but intentional.
A Honduran mother and her 2 children were deported by ICE on Friday. The mother and older sister had a deportation order. However, the 2-year-old girl is a U.S. citizen.
It's completely unlawful for ICE, an immigration agency, to detain or deport a U.S. citizen. They have absolutely no authority to do that.
Speaking freely in Honduras, the mother was able to tell her attorneys that she was not given a choice, but more so was told what to do.
ICE's portrayal of the mother's consent in both cases is undeniably false. These mothers were deprived of communication and any real alternatives by ICE. They were not asked if they wanted their U.S. citizen children to be brought with them. They were told that their U.S. citizen children would be deported with them by ICE.
A U.S. district judge set a hearing for May 17th, saying in part, quote, in the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process, end quote. In a post on X, Honduran President Xiomara Castro said she's offering her full support to the minor's mother and whatever decision she makes, and has ordered that the judge's orders be followed. Another Honduran mother was also deported with her 2 U.S. citizen children of ages 4 and 7.
We're hoping that we're able to work with the government. The government is able to parole people into the country for legal proceedings, and that should be available to these families.
ICE tells Fox 26 that the parent made the decision to take the child with them to Honduras, and the parent was let know that ICE could place the children with someone who the parent designated, but the parent stated they wanted to be removed with the children. Reporting live in the studio, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
Okay. Now,
I have your answer for you before you go into that, if you allow me to do that, please.
Okay, go on.
Barack's ICE chief, cages were Obama's idea. And let me read the statement. Former President Barack Obama, tops immigration chief in charge of removing illegal immigrants, said that the cages Democrats have accused President Trump of housing children in were the brainchild of the Obama's administration. I've been to the facilities where they talked about cages. The facilities was built under President Obama's order, Homeland Security, Secretary, I guess, Johnson. I was there because I was there when it was built, said Thomas Harmon, who was Obama's executive associate director of immigration and customs enforcement for nearly 4 years. So the cages were built under Obama's regime, and they accused President Trump.
William.
Okay. Okay. Fine. And I'll give you that. I will give you that. And I will say that I was wrong.
Thank you.
I have no problem with that. Now, let's address that last video that I played about the mom and the children being deported. That confirms that first video that I said, because that was from Fox. Okay, now you guys knocked that kid for putting up that video, and okay, say that was a reenactment. I don't know whether it was or not, and you don't either.
But he didn't tell you it was a reenactment, did he? So who was gaslighting? He never told you that was a reenactment. That was a fake video, did he? He didn't tell you it wasn't real.
The story was
how was the courtroom empty? You know, who's gaslighting now? That kid was gaslighting, and you bought into it.
Mike, I can see those courtrooms being empty. Those types of courtrooms,
no,
emergency hearings like that,
absolutely, they're always full.
No, not for that.
And where's our camera taking pictures of his feet?
Okay, Mike, the story is true. The story is true.
Then separate that from that fake video.
But guess what?
Separate that. Can you at least admit that video was staged?
I don't know whether it was or not.
Really? Do you know cameras in the courtroom that take pictures of the kids' feet?
Mike. I don't go to them in the courtrooms. Okay. All right. So
really,
I'm getting at
courtrooms are all wide shots.
Mike,
they don't do close-up facials like in a movie.
Mike, who cares?
I care because it's fake.
Well, guess what? Let's say it is fake. The story is true. That doesn't change the story, does it?
Then separate those two things. Let's get a couple things straight. Separate that video from reality. Now we can talk about the reality.
Let's go to reality. Let's toss the video. The story is still true.
Yes, it is.
The story is true. Okay, then. So
yes, the story is real.
Okay, the story is real. That means that
here's my point. Do you want to hear a point?
This evil regime is deporting U.S. citizens.
Would you separate a child from its mother?
Even at the 8.
Would you separate a child from its mother?
I would do no,
William.
Not intentionally. Now, hold on. Did you hear that last one? The mother said, "I would allow my child to go with relatives,
a family member." Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's what the mother said. And
This
they
mother
also
wanted her
said,
breast. She
now
was
hold on,
breastfeeding
hold on.
that child, and she wanted that child to stay with her.
No. She's Mike. You can't have it both ways. Dr. Sims, did
I'm
you
having
hear
it one way.
Mike, did you hear what they said that the mom said it's okay that to go with a caring family member? Did you hear that?
At that point, yes. On the second video, however,
On
you
the
have to
second
look at
video.
the age difference. There's a 9-year break there that you have to understand. Those kids were, and I can understand. We have to put both pictures together here because at the time the child was very young, breastfeeding age. But you have to look at 9 years had transpired per this first video. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Per this, because I listened very attentively. Now, that's a 9-year span. The child is no longer in the breastfeeding age. And I get what you're saying, William. But during the time the
America.
child was a breastfeeding age, there was a problem. And I get that because the mom wanted the child to stay with her, if I'm understanding correctly.
No,
But there's a 9 years gap.
no, it's
there.
not, Dr. Sims. No, it is
Why
not.
isn't it?
Because
Isn't that the same
no,
parent?
it's not. Nope. It is
Okay.
a 2-year-old, and the upcoming trial date, if you guys listen, is May
It's in May.
17th of this year, and the child is 2 years old that we're talking about. No, you're talking about something entirely different.
Those kids in the courtroom is not 2 years old.
I don't know how old they were.
They're not
Okay.
2. I'm a mother.
Okay,
That is not a
well, fine.
2-year-old child.
What I'm
We're
talking about,
like 5, 6, or 7.
let's forget about the
something
video.
Like that. No,
And
we have to, because you're making your point.
No, this is what I'm saying. Mike said there was a reenactment, and I gave him that. I said, let's forget the video and let's concentrate on this real story. And the real story is that the girl is right now, today, 2 years old, okay, being deported. 2 years old today.
No, stop. They did not deport the child. They deported the mother, and the mother requested the child, who she's breastfeeding, stay with her. And keep in mind, in other countries, children are breastfed a whole lot longer than the mothers here in the U.S. That's very, very, very common. They did not deport that baby. They did not deport the baby. They deported the mother, which is a separate issue, which I got a problem with, because the mother was doing everything right, and they deported her. That's wrong. So separate the two issues. The baby was not deported. The mother was deported, and the mother requested the baby stay with her. Would you separate that mother, the breastfeeding mother, from the child? Would you?
Dr. Sims.
Would you?
I'm asking Dr. Sims a question. Dr. Sims, did you
answer my question?
And I'm not answering your question. I'm asking.
Why not? You afraid?
I'll get to you when I get ready.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Next year.
I'm asking.
How about now? How about now?
I'm asking Dr. Sims a question. And for some reason, you can't hear. Dr. Sims, did you hear them say that the mother said, I will let my child go with a current
that's
relative?
That's a separate entity. And yes, I did hear that part where she said that she would go. No, she would go. She would go, and she would prefer that her child stay with a family member. I guess that was already here. But here's the deal, that you have to put the time differences, because I think maybe I'm misunderstanding you too, William, because we're talking about nursing baby, and we're talking the time frame, and we're talking about, even in that clip, in the first clip, he was saying during the Trump regime, which that was a lie. Okay, that's a proven lie. And so my thing is this, is that now they're nitpicking, and they're picking out of the cloud, and they're putting too many pieces together, which it makes it such a lie and fabricated, because their timing is not right. And the nursing child, they nurse babies up now, kids up to 5 years old are pulling out the mom's tit. And I have to be real, okay? And in other countries, they do that. And so my thing is this, I breastfed my children. I'll just put it out there because I'm a mom, okay? And I wasn't doing that until they about 4 or 5 years old, not me. But you do have family who does that. And that is a foreign country. They do that. Their policies are a lot different from ours here. But my thing is this, the point that I'm trying to make here, we have to be careful with people who are glory seeking, okay, at the expense of others to cause their demise. And they use manipulation of words. That's one of the teachings that I did, okay? Perfected deception, and manipulated manipulation. Okay. And so we have to be careful because we are being manipulated on a daily. We are being, listen, even the smartest ones are questioning. Okay. We are being so manipulated and it's being done on purpose, on purpose. And so you have these people who are getting paid. Listen to this, with these media sites. They're getting paid to build their numbers. And they're doing it at any means necessary. And I'm reading some of the audience's comments. They said, I am so sick of all of this fabrication. Even the titles is a drawing source. When you open it up, it's something totally different that is
Yes.
the creative manipulation to get numbers because that's people's job nowadays. Okay, their side piece. Okay. And so they'll do it because we have a society who's into that thing, you know. We have a people who's a nosy people, whether it's the live or Memorex. They believe what they want to believe. I mean, listen, I sat back and listened to a whole lot of them do all of this talking. I'm like, where are these people's heads? Because I'm an advocate for knowledge, and I wish my son was on here, Mike, and he'd be right there with us. He's a researcher, and then too, by him being in the business that he was in, you have to listen attentively because people will manipulate your mind to believe a thing that is not actual. I'm talking about news medias. I'm talking about book writers. I'm talking about whoever teachers are lying to students. To
All the internet.
people. It's all over the place, and you have to learn how to decipher what is real. People are making listen, and I know how factual they can be. Even on YouTube, we have people who advertising items and making that item look so wonderful. I fell prey to that. I should have knew better, but I ordered something. I should have known a big old console didn't cost $96, but I wanted it. And what I did was, after I paid the money, I had a epiphany, and I went on the browser, and this company had the write out to the max. I mean, it was so professionally done. I said, well, they must be legit. But I read the little fine print. Somebody did an investigation on it and found out everything that they stressed was a lie. Okay. And that goes from what to do in your society, in your home, in your schools, your jobs. We have to pay more closer attention because people are getting high blood pressure. They're getting sick.
Mhm.
Okay. Behind this foolishness, causing divisions, causing strife. It is horrible, just horrible what's being done. And I am so glad that I went in the field, that I am in the field of mind, mental health, and the manipulation that we go through in cases. If you don't know the actual, you have media who is manipulating, okay? As soon as they open their mouth, they're manipulating because they have to get the ratings. If you know the view, if they don't come with it, the lies and the hypocrisy, their ratings go down. Guess what? That's messing with the money. Okay. That's messing with the prestige out in society. But as long as they keep you up in air and up in the roar, they are excited. These are paid people. They instigate ill will, they instigate that. And it is a horrible thing. So, me personally, I'd rather back up and find out for myself. And then when I do, just look at some things. I'm like, I asked, you know who I asked? I asked God to give me the clue. Okay. Because I cannot trust too much on flesh when God told me not to. It is real talk here because they'll lie to you in a minute to make you think a thing is real and it's not. And then some people like to see you disturbed. They love to see you disturbed and bamboozled. Okay. And I think that is a travesty. And that is the going thing today, period. It is the
Okay.
going thing.
All
It,
right.
it was a split, William. I'm just saying, me personally, I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore. I'm
That's
going to do my research. And guess what? Whoever the author is, I'm going to research that and then research some more because we have people who are chasing after money now because money's power. You have people chasing after notoriety. That's power. A whole lot of a gamma of things is going on. So as long as they can keep me in uproar, you have people laughing to my, I sure got one over this time. You know what I'm saying? And this is what they do. And I'm not saying everybody, but it's far few and in between in
Okay.
this day.
All right. Now, I'm going to play this last one again. And also, I got my source from 3 locations. Now, you guys don't trust the first guy that I played, but his story was true. I also went to Fox, and I also went to see NBC or CBS, one of those. Let's see, who was this? NBC. Okay. So I went to 3 sources. Now, a federal judge in Louisiana on Friday, that's this year, 2-year-old. Okay, so it's not 9 years ago. That's this Friday. I think that April the 25th was this past Friday, wasn't it? Okay. And the trial is due to come in court May, I believe it's 17th. A federal judge in Louisiana on Friday said that a 2-year-old citizen appears to have been deported with her mother to Honduras with no meaningful.
With her mother.
Hold on. Deported with her mother to Honduras with no meaningful due process. In order scheduling hearing for next month, okay, U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty wrote that the child was sent to Honduras on Friday with her mother, who had been ordered to be removed. And Mike, I agree, she was doing everything right, but they deported her anyway.
They didn't deport the child. They deported the mother, and the child stayed with her.
Hold on. That's what the government says. The government contends.
That's reality, sir.
No, it's not reality. And I'm going to prove that in a minute. The government contends that.
Let's go.
Mike, stop interrupting, please. Let me finish. Okay. The government contends that this is all okay because the mother wishes that the child be deported with her, Doughty wrote. But the court does not know that. The Department of Homeland. I'm reading, Mike. Would you
You're
please?
reading somebody else's words. How do you know?
Because I'm getting it from 3 different sources. Okay, will you stop now being rude? Now, will you please stop talking over me?
I'm being rude because you're not putting forth truth.
I'm reading. I'm from 3 different.
You're coloring all this stuff.
I am not coloring anything.
You're gaslighting.
I'm not gaslighting, Mike. I'm reading from 3 different sources, the same damn thing.
Oh, and they're all true, I'm sure.
Well, they're more true than you are.
Well, let's go.
Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement that the parent made the decision to take the child with them to Honduras, adding that it's common that parents want to be removed with their children. Okay. Mitch P. Gonzalez, who is representing the mother in the case, is the co-founder of Sanctuary of the South and Immigration Civil Rights Cooperative, said that was not the case, meaning that the government lied in a phone call interview Saturday night. ICE is mischaracterizing that was her wish, Gonzalez says. This woman was held in an undisclosed hotel. Now, I'm going to play this. This is another source. Now, we played this before. Let's do it.
Deported to Honduras out of Louisiana. A U.S. district judge says the deportation, quote, had no meaningful process. Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia spoke with their attorney representing the family. Jonathan, they're saying these mothers had no legal options available to them.
That's right, Rashi. The attorney told me that these deportations were shocking, surprising, and deeply troubling, as these families were detained and had no option to seek legal help.
This is a family that did have legal options available to them. And because of ICE's actions of holding them incommunicado for 3 days, those options were not able to be pursued. And that can't feel anything but intentional.
A Honduran mother and her 2 children were deported by ICE on Friday. The mother and older sister had a deportation order. However, the 2-year-old girl is a U.S. citizen.
It's completely unlawful for ICE, an immigration agency, to detain or deport a U.S. citizen. They have absolutely no authority to do that.
Speaking freely in Honduras, the mother was able to tell her attorneys that she was not given a choice, but more so was told what to do.
ICE's portrayal of the mother's consent in both cases is undeniably false. These
False.
mothers were deprived of communication and any real alternative.
Yes.
Advice. They were not asked if they wanted their U.S. citizen children to be brought with them. They were told that their U.S. citizen children would be deported with them by ICE.
A U.S. district judge set a hearing for May 17th, saying in part, quote, in the interest of dispelling our strong suspicion that the government just deported a U.S. citizen with no meaningful process, end quote. In a post on X, Honduran President Xiomara Castro said she's offering her full support to the minor's mother in whatever decision she makes and has ordered that the judge's orders be followed. Another Honduran mother was also deported with her 2 U.S. citizen children of ages 4 and 7.
We're hoping that we're able to work with the government. The government is able to parole people into the country for legal proceedings, and that should be available to these families.
ICE tells Fox 26 that the parent made the decision to take the child with them to Honduras, and the parent was let known that ICE could place the children with someone who the parent designated, but the parent stated they wanted to be removed with the children. Reporting live in the studio, Jonathan Mejia, Fox.
So I have a question for you, William. William, when you're ready,
yes,
I have a question for you. Let me turn my camera on.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
All right.
You're a mother, and you have 2 children that are not U.S. citizens, and you have a third one that's a baby that you're breastfeeding. You understand my question? What would you do? Would you ask that your 2 non-citizen children go with you, but the baby that you're breastfeeding not go with you?
Question: where did you get breastfeeding from?
No. Answer the question.
No. Before I answer that, where did you hear in anything that played that the baby was breastfeeding? Give me that.
I've read multiple news stories that she was breastfeeding. And that's why she wanted the child to continue to go with her. So answer the question, William. Answer the question.
No, I will not. No.
Wow, isn't that convenient for you to not answer the question?
Very convenient, Mike, because I'm not going to answer a question without having.
Then let me ask Dr. Sims. Dr. Sims, you're a mother and you have 2 kids. You have 3 children. And 2 of them are non-citizens, and you're all getting deported, and you're breastfeeding one of them. Would you take all 3 of your children with you, or would you go, oh, well, here, Dad can take care of the child that he can't breastfeed?
As a mother, I would take them all because it's safer for them to be with me. But let me read this, and I think this is going to clear up a lot of things too, when it has to do with the citizen child and the non-citizen parent. If a mother is deported while her child is a U.S. citizen, the child's U.S. citizenship remains unaffected. The mother, regardless of her immigration status, has a right to custody of her children. And ICE does not take custody of U.S. children's citizenship. Okay? Deportation can lead to immediate instability for the child, and family members or child welfare agency may need to step in to provide care. That's only in the event that the parent does not want the child to leave the U.S. the U.S. state. And then it says in more detail, the child's U.S. citizenship is not affected by the mother's deportation. They remain U.S. citizenship.
Correct.
And I think the key thing is to play with the words. That's why I say you have to listen very attentively to play with the words, to make it appear to be something that is actually not, that does not affect the child's citizenship. However, the parent was given a choice to take the child or leave the child here with another able family member that is a citizen. The mother chose to take the child. Here's why I'm having a problem with these broadcasts, because they are picking and choosing their words carefully, and they're words of manipulation. If you don't get the way the verbiage and they switch it up in the meaning, you will be totally lost and bamboozled with it. That's why I research and I look up things, because they're putting too many things together to keep people at each other. And I keep saying this because they want to make an individual look so terribly bad that he's so filed. And as I first stated in my first statement, the borders are, because that question was posed to him when he was sitting down there between the Senate, talking to the Senate. That question was posed to him, and I asked him, if you have parents or anyone that has a child who is a citizen here and they get deported because they're here illegally, period, They said, what will happen with the children? He said, the parent has the right to take the children with them, or they
Mhm.
could leave them with a able body who is here that is a citizenship. He said, but the key word is illegal, period. And that's what they're doing. And I hear what you said, William, that they said that she was going to every 6 months. You have to be careful with that because we don't know if she was or not, period. So we have to be careful with the news that is being presented because sometimes that news is being presented to make us think the way we're discussing.
Mhm.
And we've got to be careful. They were here long enough. Okay. I know you said that she was going every 6 months doing what she was supposed to do.
Yes.
Who's to prove it?
Well, Mike admitted that she should have been deported. Mike said that too. Well, the thing about it is, she had, I believe, that
If.
she was going every 6 months because
If she was
number
doing
one,
everything correctly.
well, guess what? If she wasn't going every 6 months, then she was in violation. So why would she go this time? So it has been reported that she was going every 6 months. None of us, neither one of us, were there. So
No,
we have to.
that's why we can't say it concrete.
have-
Though.
we- we-
We
we
can't say
have
it
to-
concrete. No, we
we-
can't. We can't
so-
say it concrete, William. That's where the key is. We cannot be concrete. This is what she was doing.
Yeah,
That's where the problem
what's
is
been
because
reported.
you don't have evidence that that is actually what she was doing. Because see, guess what? People will build up their news approach. Yes, they will. They will build up their stories. It's a known fact. I don't care if it came from Fox News, CNN, NBC, whoever. They build,
Fake media.
and that's what they're paid to do. They have to make news as exciting, as believable as they possibly can. It is what it is, okay? And that's a known fact. You've even said it sometimes on one of our past shows. This is what the news does sometimes. They make it
Especially
believable.
Fox.
Well, yeah, they do.
They all
Okay.
do.
And it is what
No,
it
they all
is.
don't do. No, not all of them. Not all of them. Now,
Yes,
my
they
point.
do.
I hear
Pretty
what you're
much
saying.
so.
I hear what
Pretty
you're
much
saying,
so.
Dr. Sims.
Yeah.
I've heard this. If I only got it from one source, I said, "Yeah, Dr. Sim, I got it from 3 different sources." Okay, the same story, and you can see how nefarious these guys have been. These ICE agents, this new FBI, they are going into churches now.
And all of them
They're-
just
they're-
about
they're-
hate Trump,
they're-
don't they?
Let me finish. They're going
They
into
hate Trump.
school. They're going into schools right now, snatching kids. Okay, what trauma are you putting on these children? Again, the mother has been reported, and the only thing I can go on if I
Is
check
what
it
you
once,
read.
if I check it twice, if I check it 3 times, or whatever it is. Okay, I'm not just going to go on one, but they're saying the same story that the mother wanted the child to stay. The handwritten note that ICE claimed they had, the lawyer said that is a fabrication. That's what that lawyer said. I played it twice.
Claim.
William.
That's the
Stop for a
lawyer.
second.
That's the-
Keywords are
Please stop for a
claim.
second. Stop.
That is the person's
Stop.
sports. No, I'm not going to stop.
William, I asked you a question that you refused to answer. I said, if you have 3 children, of which one's a citizen and a baby that you're breastfeeding, would you leave the one child here in the
Let me
U.S.?
answer the question.
Because no. Answer mine. No, answer mine. You would not leave a child behind. Not even a father or mother. Nobody. You would not leave a child behind. You
hold
keep them in your care and custody.
No, that's not true.
That does not make sense. What you're saying.
It does make sense. I'm going to tell you why. Have you ever heard of a child giving up their child? A mother giving up their child for adoption because they want them to have a better life?
Can we stick to the topic? Can we
I'm-
stick to this topic?
Mike, I'm going to answer your question. Let me answer
I'm
it.
waiting.
Wait.
William, that's a different
It's the same.
scenario.
No. I'm not going to be demanded to do anything.
I'm asking you.
Well,
I'm
let me
not
finish.
demanding. I'm asking you.
Well,
Answer the
if
question.
you will shut up, I'm going to answer
I'm
you.
shutting up. Go ahead. I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Well, I'm waiting too. There are case after case after case where
Stick
if
to
the
this
mother
one.
seen, damn it,
Stick to this one. I
I'm
don't want to
gonna-
hear about
I'm
A
gonna-
and B and
Mike,
C and D, E, F.
I
I
don't
want to
care,
hear about
Mike.
this one.
Well, I
Would
don't
you
care
let
what
your
you wanna
2-year-old
hear.
child be separated from
I
you?
don't care what-
No, you would not. Tell the truth.
I would. If it's a better
No, you
situation,
wouldn't.
a better,
That-
yes, I would. If there's
Please.
a better life you know what? If it's a better life for my child over here than in Honduras, which it actually is, Honduras, from what I hear about, is a hellhole. Why do you think they came here in the first place? Yes, I would. If I think that the United States will give my child a better life, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon them and not try to get back over because I was deported illegally anyway, all right? But yes, because you had a father here, you also had a family here. It wasn't that she's just going to put them up for an orphanage, as an orphan, anything like that. They had family members. And the lawyer said that what the government said is a lie, that she did want the child to stay here. Because again,
I don't buy that for a second.
If
no mother's leaving a 2-year-old behind,
lie, Mike.
It's not going to happen. It does not make sense.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why your statement is ridiculous. Because what you're saying there, that's why mothers give up their children for adoption sometimes, because they feel that another family.
You're conflating things. No,
I'm not.
You're taking it sideways. Answer the question. Would you leave your 2-year-old behind as a mother?
Yes, if my child has a better life for survival and life here,
yes,
absolutely.
BS.
Because that's not BS.
Yes, it is.
Don't we have adoptions here in the United States?
Adoption has nothing to do with this case. Would you stay on topic? Stay on topic.
Look here.
We're not talking about people giving up their babies for adoption. We're talking about a mother giving up a 2-year-old that she's breastfeeding.
It's the same doggone thing.
Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense, Mike, because parents do make sacrifices sometimes because they want the child to have a better life. They have a better life. And keep in mind, a lot of people escape Honduras because it was violence there. People were getting murdered, kids getting raped, getting slaughtered.
Stick to the topic.
And Mike,
stick to the topic. I'm not talking about Honduras. I'm talking about this mother and this baby and those children.
This mother probably felt the same way. Look, my child will have a better life here in the United States. That's why they came from Honduras in the first place.
Not buying it.
You don't have to buy it. I'm not selling it to you. I'm offering it to the people who have some common sense.
Can I raise my hand on this?
No, you don't make any sense here.
Can I raise my hand? I want to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave a good question. I'm not taking that away from you. However, two different situations. A lot of times, women who give up their children cannot afford them and are having a hard time, and they're U.S. citizens. However, the citizens who is illegal, and I read something here too, and I'll read it. And we're talking about illegals. That's the key here.
No, she wasn't illegal though.
Per what they said,
she was
if
not.
She was not a citizen. She was not a legit citizen. She was not. She was per them, William.
No. Let's say she was here legally.
Per them, per their statement.
There's one case right here. She was here legally. Mike admitted that she was deported illegally. If she was illegal, if she was, look.
It's a separate issue. Stick to the topic.
It's the same issue because
we're talking about the baby.
We're talking about the health. We're talking about the welfare of a child, Mike.
If she was deported by mistake,
and I'm taking my child into a war zone, if I know that I'm taking my child into a war zone, I'm not going to take my child into the war zone.
When you're done with your speech, I'd like to hear Dr. Sims.
Well, guess what? If you stop talking, then I can get to Dr. Sims. The point that I'm getting at, no sane person is going to put their child in harm's way. She wanted her child to stay here. The dad wanted the child to stay here. The dad has as much right to the child as the mother do, because it says so. It's all in the report. They have family members.
It said so on the internet.
They have family members. Mike, guess what? Go back to watch Fox News. Dr. Sims, what do you have to say?
What I was going to say, I was alluding to, because a lot of in the social worker society, when they take these children in, they're unfortunate that it happens. It's because they can't afford these children. Based on, especially in today's vernacular, a lot of children are now being instituted in the DPS. They are taking these children and they're putting them in homes where they can be cared for. But these are children that are citizens here, the main focal point. The majority of these people, now you do have children that come over with illegals that don't even belong to them. Okay, you have to understand they're
Let's talk about
trafficking
this one.
children. I have to say it because it has to do with who stays, who's hot and who's not here, if I could put it in that term. Okay, now from what I was hearing from in this discussion earlier, is that it was eluded that she was going for her citizenship and she was checking it every 6 months. That's what was said, but it was not proven. I know you heard from three different sources, Fox News and the other two, and they all been deemed to be liars as well in some news incidences, and that's
Yep.
facts. And so my thing is this, and that's why I say you can't believe everything you hear. You gotta, and I know you read some things, but who wrote the agendas? You got to be careful. People in their reports, they can fabricate words all the time. And I'm not saying that I don't believe, okay, some of these things, but I do know a lot of it is built up so high to make you have a reaction um, to their stories, and they're paid to do that. They're good. They're very good. So they collect false data. They make it look like it's legit. It is what it is. Okay. And my thing is I wrote up a note says, can I stay in the U.S. if my baby is born in America? You are still deemed as illegal. And if you've been here umpteen years, and I don't know how long it takes for the citizenship because I'm born and raised here. I don't know the time factor and what have you. But you're saying, William, that she would go every 6 months per what was written, okay, and per what you read. But you have to be careful. A lot of these folks are being, you have to understand, a lot of these news medias are being taken to court for falsifying information. Oh, yes, they are. Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
true.
fabricating, and yes, they are. They're
A
padding
lot of
stuff,
them are.
and they're putting out a
And
lot of
Trump just won
lies.
a lawsuit because of the lies.
Yeah, a lot of
Well, Fox just they paid her over $800 million. But that's not the point. The point I'm getting at, Dr. Sims, is she checked in. So if she's not, she was here
But
legally.
when did she start checking and process?
I
When
don't
they
know.
start? See,
Hold
this is no. This is
Wait a
my.
minute.
I have to
Wait a
answer this
minute.
question,
I don't
William.
know. I don't know that.
See, this is
Oh,
key.
Then
If
say
she
so.
didn't, if she started checking in as they were deporting in the mass way that they were, no. See, we don't know. That's why
We
I
do
asked the
know.
question.
We
No,
do
you
know.
don't know
That's why they
either. You
picked
know
her
what
up.
was
No.
I
written.
do know
No,
what
you
I'm
know what
talking
was
weren't
written,
there.
William.
Dr. Sim.
You know what was written.
That's where they arrested her because she was going on her regular 6-month
So
checkup.
they say regular. She
Well, where did they
probably
pick
just
her up from then?
no.
The bus
She
stop?
probably just start. See, I can do a two
You don't
to a
know.
scenario.
You don't know that.
Either.
You are
You
speculating.
don't either. You
I
don't
I know
either.
more about this than you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. No, I'm sorry for you. I'm telling you right now. You don't go. You don't skirt the law. You don't skirt the law. Then all of a sudden, you've been here for months. This child was born in 2023. Okay. Now you don't all of a sudden start going to your appointment.
Really?
You don't all of a sudden start going for your appointments because guess what? If you're over here illegally and you didn't go the right way, you don't even have an appointment. You can't just show
Really?
up. You cannot just show up at the citizen office if you cross that border illegally. No, you can't. No, you can't. Because what happens is when you come to the border, you apply for asylum if you do it the right way. If you do it the right way, you apply for asylum. And then when you go through the process, you have to check in with the immigration system every 6 months. They want to know where you work. They want to know how you're living. And you have to do a checkup. If you come over here illegally, you never go to the immigration office. You don't have an appointment. You can't just show up. If you are
hypocrisy.
If you are illegal, then you don't have an appointment. You don't have to check in, and they don't check in. Okay.
Let me tell you about hypocrisy.
She was here legally. Okay.
Let me tell you about hypocrisy.
What does that have to do with
Hypocrisy will make you believe a thing has actually been followed through with.
Come on.
When they're falsifying their behavior from Jump Street, then they try to jump ahead because something is happening and demands are coming down the loop. Let me tell you about, and it happens all the time. And what happens is you have a lot of people who've been over here, and I'm for people coming over here and seeking asylum and their freedom, but do it right. My thing is this, is because Fair is fair across the board, even with me. Fair and fair is fair. My thing is this: don't jump and run to it and make it look like. And see, let me tell you what the news will do. They will tell you, oh, they know the criteria of why a person has to do a thing. And then they take, she was coming over here, you know, you got to be careful with that. You don't know, and I don't know.
Well, I
What
know
you're doing
this.
is you're taking word from somebody that you were not there,
And you
the
weren't
ramifications.
either.
And I'm not saying I was.
And you
I'm not saying
speculating.
it. Well,
There are a
you
lot of
too.
people
You're
here.
doing the
Yep.
same thing.
Dr.
You're doing
Shem,
the
there are a
same-
lot of people here that are here illegally. I'll give you that 1,000,000%. I'll give you that. There's no argument here. And if
Got
they're
it.
here illegally and the government decides to deport them, fine. I have no issue with that. But there is a way to do it. And you do not have an appointment with the immigration office if you're not following procedure. That doesn't
you
happen.
know?
That makes it because it makes
How do
no
you know?
sense. That makes no sense, Mike.
Do you know how many
cross
people
the
try to
board.
get appointments because of the
you
immigration
make
right now?
it doesn't make any
How
that
many
doesn't.
appointments have you made?
I didn't have to make an appointment.
Oh yeah. So you don't know, do you?
With what? What are you talking about?
I'm telling you, you don't know the process because
I
you've
do
never
know
been
the
through it.
process. You don't, and you should.
Wow.
And you should. A former law enforcement officer, you should know and stop gaslighting
I've never
people.
dealt
Mike.
with
You
immigration.
already know, Mike. You already know that you
I
do
never
not
dealt
have
with
an appointment. You know good and well that people who are here illegally don't go to a doggone administrative office. Or
If they're
don't-
scared and they're afraid of being deported, and all
That's
of a sudden
exactly
Trump's getting
right.
rid of people, all of a sudden the light
exactly
bulb goes
right.
on and goes, "Oh, I better check in." Maybe she
No.
didn't check in, like Dr. Sims
Oh,
is saying.
really? So no. What
So
I'm
maybe
saying,
she got scared and she decided to show up for
Maybe-
her
you-
appointment.
Mike, come on, you know better.
Maybe
than
she
that.
made an appointment. Do you know
Mike,
she didn't make an
Oh,
appointment?
no, and you know the first thing that's going to happen.
Maybe she registered
Matter of
online and
fact,
made an appointment.
you know what's going to happen in that case? She check in at the board. I mean, she come in the office, and they're going to say, "Okay, where are your asylum papers?" That's the first thing they're going to say. Where are your asylum papers? You have to come in the right way in order to be deemed illegal. And she came in the right way. Otherwise, she wouldn't have an appointment.
Maybe, like Dr. Sims said,
And
she hasn't been
maybe
checking
you
in for
guys are
3 years.
speculating. Mike, it makes no sense. Makes no sense. I'm gonna tell you a true story.
Makes no sense. She'd separate a
I'm
2-year-old from
going-
a mother.
I'm gonna tell you a true story.
Can you answer that? You still have never answered my question.
I did answer your question, and I
Would
told
you separate a 2-year-old from a
Yes.
mother?
yes,
No, you
yes.
wouldn't.
No. If I were a mother,
You're being dishonest.
Hold it. I'm not being dishonest. You are.
Yes, you are.
If
You would
the
not
mother
separate
said-
a 2-year-old child
If
from
the
its
mother
mother.
says, "I want to take my baby with me," okay, she has every right to do that. Fact.
That's what happened.
That is not what happened because the
How do
lawyer.
you know?
Because
How
the
do
lawyer.
you know? Were you
I knew it
there?
because
Did
the
you hear
lawyer
the
said
mother?
the lawyer.
Did
lawyer
you
said
translate
otherwise.
what she said?
The lawyer
Does it
said
make sense to you that a mother would give
does.
up a 2-year-old that she's
Yes,
breastfeeding?
yes, it does.
No, it
If
does.
she-
No, it
if she-
does not.
If she thinks
You-
that
you don't-
if she doesn't want her
Man,
child
William.
in danger, Mike, would you take your child into a war zone?
I would take my child
you would
wherever
not.
I was because I'm the best protector of my child.
And
Get out of my way. I'm not
Okay,
a mama
well,
bear, but I'm a father bear.
Well,
I'm
that's
taking
fine.
my child where I can protect my child.
No, you're going to
I'm
protect.
not giving up my 2-year-old.
You're going to
Even
protect
as a
your child
father, I'm
first.
not giving up my 2-year-old.
You could, Mike. You cannot handle these cartels by yourself. With all your arsenal, you cannot handle these cartels by yourself. All right.
I'm still
I
not
don't-
giving up a 2-year-old,
Look, a mother is different. You're not a mother. Neither one of us had a child.
but I'm a father.
Well, that's fine. If I
And I
knew,
would still take my child.
I tell you what, if I knew that I was going into a dangerous situation where my child could be killed, I could be killed, my child could be killed. No, I'm not taking my child there. I will leave them in a safe place and I'll come back to get them. But I'm not going to risk my child's life, Mike. That makes absolutely no sense. And again,
Do you know for a fact that this mother asked to keep her child or didn't ask to keep her child? Do you know that for a fact? And were you there? And did you hear her say that?
you know damn well that I wasn't
Did
there.
you
Neither
hear
was
her
you.
say that?
No, did you hear her say, no, I'm taking her?
No, but I'm applying common sense here.
There's no common sense. What you
Sure
saying
there
makes
is.
no common sense because the mother said she wanted her child to stay here. The father is here.
You know
Family
that for a fact. You know that for a fact.
the mother didn't want to go. The mother didn't want to be deported.
You know for a fact the mother said, I want my child to stay.
Do you know if for a
You
fact
know that for a fact, William.
now you know that's a dumbass question.
No, it's not.
It is dumb.
You're presenting it
You know,
like fact,
giving you
and
the-
I'm saying
giving you
it's
the-
not.
I'm giving you the information as I get it. Okay. And I've checked
And where'd you get your information from? The fake media.
I got it.
Okay, perfect. Full
I got it
circle.
from Fox. I got it from Politico. I got it from NBC, and I got it from the kid that you guys don't like. That's four
Not
sources.
buying it. No
How long
mother's
does it
giving up
take?
a 2-year-old.
Question
You don't
for you
have to buy.
guys. Question: how long does it take for an illegal to become a U.S. Citizen? Do you
Generally
know?
7
It's
years.
a long process.
It's
It is a long
7
process.
years.
It's
And first
it's
the
a long
application
process.
to be approved. However, now when did you say this mother started her process of
I
becoming?
don't.
a
I
US
didn't say. I did not say.
Okay.
I did not say. All I'm
All right.
saying is that she was going through the system and she was doing everything that she wanted. And Mike is backtracking right now because he said
No,
that
I'm
she
not.
was. Yes, you are, because you opened up the show. You said she was deported illegally, and you didn't go along with it.
Separate issue.
Same
Talk
issue.
about the baby or talk about her deportation.
I already told you how I felt.
Talk
I
about them
already told you about that.
separately because they're separate issues, William.
It's
Do
the
not
same
slam
issue.
them together. You can't
It's
do
the
that.
same. I can't do whatever I want to do, Mike. You can't tell me what I
Her,
can and
her
cannot
being
do.
deported is separate from the baby being
It
deported
is not.
with
It
her.
is the main issue right now. It's the main issue. Like I said, she could not she was going through the process. You admitted yourself that she was deported illegally.
As far as
You
you
did
know.
that.
So when did she start her process? Does
Can I
anybody know her?
clarify? Well, let Dr. Sims talk, but I'd like to
I asked
clarify
you,
things
hold on,
when
Dr.
Dr.
Sims.
Sims is done.
Isn't that what? No, you. No, I'm directing this.
Okay, if you're going to demand,
No,
I
no.
said at the very beginning, I have issues with the mother being deported if she was checking in,
Oh, I didn't hear
if
you
she
say
was
that.
doing the right
No,
thing,
you didn't say
if
that.
she was
You-
doing everything she was supposed to do.
And she
I
was.
said I have issues with her being deported. That's a separate issue from
And
the
she-
baby being deported with the mother because the mother
mother-
requested it.
Well,
Two
the mother
separate
did not
issues,
request it.
William.
The mother did not request it, Mike.
How do you know? Were you there?
You weren't there too, but the lawyer was there.
But I know
thought
it
the
makes
man
sense.
The news
Yes,
reporters,
second
the
page.
news reporters reported the same doggone thing I'm saying right now.
I know it makes sense.
I thought the mother said in the second tape that she requested that the child go with her. That's what I heard. Okay.
No.
Well, I misheard that. But when did she start her process? What year? I think
I have no idea.
2022 or something like that. Is that what
No,
you
I
said?
have no idea.
Okay. But how long was she here in America?
I have no idea.
Okay, see, these are facts that needs to be known, and the reason why that would gives a time frame if she was doing exactly what she was supposed to do every 6 months. And I know that there is a litigation she has to go through. She has to go through a process, and I'm looking at the process. However, it depends. Okay, now if she was here earlier than the time frame allotted to get her, her status, and there's somewhere down the line that she didn't follow through, that they cause a great delay, because what they do is they research things. Also, they almost start the process over again when you do that. Okay, so once the LPR is generally takes about 10 to 12 months to even process or neutralize your application. Now I do know, and we have to just hear me out. Okay, there's a lot of people who have been scrambling and running to start their processes during, especially this election period, because they knew that if Trump gets in there, because the whole key ball and wax was to get that border under control, and because there was such an influx of immigrants. Now they were here illegally. There was no way in Hades they could have processed over 11 million immigrants that flowed over here. Okay, and they were busting them here, there, and everywhere, which that was strange. But
Where'd you
here's
get your
the
11
deal.
million figure from?
Oh, that's in some of your Fox News.
That's not a fact. That's not
Yeah,
a
well,
fact.
that's in your Fox.
That's a
News
guesstimation.
there.
Same internet news
No,
that you
it's not a
get, William.
guesstimation. No, it's not.
no,
Can I finish
no,
my
no.
statement, please?
Yeah. But,
Okay,
but
1
please
million,
give the
2
facts, though,
million.
please.
Okay, let me. The statement of the point I'm trying to make is this: is that sometimes people get in a hurry to do a quick hurry thing and fast, because they know what's coming down the pipeline, and then they wait, they delay. Not only because the new immigrants that came in, the existing ones that have been here for years without even doing due process. Okay, I know we're talking about this later, but I'm trying to make a generalized point. The generalized point is this: when you know that there's a regime pre-adventure, now he wasn't in there yet, but pre-adventure, what he says to his campaign, this was going to be his main focal point because the people were tired of this influx. What's to say I'm not going to try to rush and run and try to get my paperwork, and they were signing at the border, they were doing all sorts of things trying to get their paperwork, and then they cut the media where they could get into doing it online. They cut it because they knew that that's what they were doing. They were already over here after the influx. Okay, they were right at the border doing this stuff. And then when Trump got in, because the people spoke about them, it was just too much. It was too much. And then too, the facilities couldn't handle all those people in the first place. Now, you have people who are hiding here, been here before the influx, okay? And then you have people come in and there's a great influx. That's an overwhelming issue, whether it be computer or doing a personal representative, customer services. And so my thing is this, it's actually known, and I can look it up. It's known that there's an influx of immigrants who were trying to get their paperwork started during that time, okay? And they weren't even approved yet, okay, during that time. But they felt that if they started the paperwork, then that's going to stop them being deported back to. And we have to remember, because I think we get on our minds as just Latinos, but it was all immigrants, Haitians, you name it, wherever they came from, Sudan, China, wherever they came from, okay? I don't just stick with one race. There was a multiple facets of illegals coming here because they were fed some stories about, whatever. And, but my thing is this, is that you cannot wait to the last minute and make it look like, and then I said again, and I'll keep saying it, media could grab a hold of something, somebody could tell them something, just like they said, they blame Trump for the cages. One of the senators says, I heard you, I got it verbally, heard you, what happened to the cages that you built? Well, he had nothing to do with that. That was Obama's regime. And
but
so
he didn't stop it, did he? He didn't stop it though, did he?
There's no cages. He didn't have cages.
Yes, he did.
No, he did not.
Yes,
William.
he
They're
did.
empty now.
William,
They're empty now. Why?
No
Women, hold it. You mean
were
under
empty
Trump's
now.
regime?
There
Say
is no-
Obama. Yes, he did.
people
Yes,
got-
he
no, he
did
did
in his
not.
first term.
Oh
Yes,
my
he
God.
did.
Oh my goodness. No, he didn't. They were empty.
Yes, he did. Look it up. Look it up. Please look it up.
You look it up.
No, you look it up because that's
No,
a
I'm
lie.
not going to.
That's not
You
true.
look it up.
Oh, I'm
since
not
you
either.
said it.
I'm not either.
When
That's
I say
not
something,
true.
I look it up. Then you look what you
Well,
just
that's not
said.
true then.
You give me the proof.
That's not true. And I tell you something else. And 11 million people didn't come over here in 2024 either. Over the last 5 years, 4.5, whatever it is, more than 10.8 million since 2021. So that's not 11 million
How much
people.
came over in the last couple of years?
Since 2021,
How many came over during the Biden administration of 4 years?
it had to be about 2 or 3 million because
No.
let me hold it. 10.8 encounters nationwide have been recorded by customs since the start of fiscal year 2021. That's not 11 million under Biden. Okay, in 1 year. That in 4 years, yeah, we give you that 11 million in 4 years, but not in 1 year. So that's not true. But the point that I'm getting at,
I wish I had $11 million.
again,
That's a
let me
lot.
tell you. There is somebody that I know, and he came over here illegally, and he's in California. Okay, and he tried to get citizenship here. You know what they made him do? This is no. You're going to have to go back over the border and come through customs legally. He did that, and he had to
Legal
stay.
point of entry.
He had to come. They had to come through a legal port of entry. He did, and that is an absolute fact. So what I'm saying is, this mother came over through a legal port of entry. Otherwise, she couldn't have had the process going for her. I know this for a fact. I know the guy's name. I'm not going to call his name out but that is an absolute fact.
What's your point?
My point is that what Dr. Sims was saying, that no, people start getting the process if they, just hurry up, try to get the process going after they've gotten over here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Sims. If they came over illegally, then they try to get the process going. That's not the way it works. You're going to have to go to the immigration court and present your asylum paperwork in order to get the process going. So this mother was here legally. She was going through the process. The only way they
No,
picked her up,
she wasn't illegal.
she was not
trying to go through the process.
She was not illegal. She was not here illegally. That is not true. You're coming. If you sneak across the border, you're here illegally. You're illegal. You're not illegal if you
How
go
did she
through
get
the
here?
asylum process.
How did she get here?
Great question.
How am I supposed to know?
Okay, you said she didn't cross
You're
over
proposing
illegally.
you know.
Well,
You
that's what
can't
I'm
make
saying.
statements like that because you
Well,
don't
yes,
know.
yes, I can, because I
No,
just
you
told you-
don't. You
I
can't.
can't. I just told you how it works.
How did she come over here? How did she get here?
Through
Was
a
she
legal
flown in-
through a legal point of entry.
How do you know?
That's how you get it started.
How do you know that?
How do you know?
Because that's the only way to get it started. I just gave you an example of somebody that I know. I know this for a fact. I put my
There's some who came over here illegal through the border, open border, and
Not
started
open
the
border. You can't get
process.
here. You can't get
Oh
here.
my gosh!
No.
Because we didn't
The
have
people are coming
enough
through-
border patrol
Don't be
during that
naive,
time,
Dave.
William.
No.
They
Don't
crossed
be
over
naive.
here
Don't
and
be
they
naive.
they had it on their
No.
phones where they start the paper right at the border. It was illegal
You have
They had
process.
an app.
No.
Thank you. Yes,
You have
it
to come-
was.
They have an app.
You have to come through a legal point of entry.
There was no legal port of entry during the open
Oh,
border
no.
that we had.
We didn't have
Come
any
on.
open borders.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't have any
Wow,
open borders.
William! Oh my God!
Are you saying? Are you
done.
saying no? Those borders were not open. They may
They
not have
didn't
been-
even have enough
they-
border
they-
patrol during that time.
Well, whose fault
They
was
did
that?
not. They were illegally here.
Biden's fault.
They were set right
Illegally-
there.
Biden
my
Harris.
goodness.
They weren't coming through the port of entry legally. They were jumping over or coming through the fence that Trump never
That's
put up.
illegal. That's illegal.
I agree with that.
Okay, so
I agree
after
with
they
that.
got over here, they had these phones that they got them from the government, giving them out free
Yeah.
like candy. Okay, and they were able
Really?
to
How do you
start
know
a
that?
process even right at the gate.
How do you
I'm
know
telling-
that?
They man, do you not watch news that you say you watch?
I don't watch Fox News.
William, they had an
Wow.
app.
Really?
And
Yes,
the app
really?
was cut off. The app was all
Really?
of their apps were cut
Well,
off the phones. That was just about what 3 months
She
ago.
was here
Ended
legally.
that app.
I
ended the app.
I concede that there are a lot of people that come over here illegally. Yes, they do. Yeah,
And
because they
still
don't want
trying to do it.
they don't want to wait, and so they do not go
Yeah.
through the process. They do not
Exactly.
go through the process. How do you think right now that so many illegal people aren't showing up to work? Okay, because they don't want to get busted. But the
Of
people
course
that are
not.
here, but the people here are legally, they go through the process and they're trusting that the government would uphold their end. If I do everything right, then I'm not going to be deported. But
If
what's
that's
going to
the
happen?
case.
Well,
That's the case.
what's happening right now? This criminal that we had in the White House, he's deporting people left and right. He doesn't even care. Okay.
So if I go into a store and I take something and I don't want to go through the process of going through the checkout stand and I just walk out of the store with the item I'm stealing because I don't want to go through the process, is that okay?
Mike, what kind of dumb question is that?
That's not dumb.
It is dumb.
You didn't
You
go
go-
through
you
the
supposed to
process
go-
to
I
go to
didn't
the
want to go
cashier.
through the
You know,
process.
You didn't go to the process,
I
go to the
didn't want to go
cashier
through- I
and
didn't
pay
want to
for
go
it.
through the
It's
process and pay
illegal.
for it.
You know, I'm not answering any stupidity because that was a stupid
That's
question.
not stupid. I didn't want to go through
If you,
the
if,
process.
if you didn't, then your butt goes to jail.
Yeah.
It's just
So,
that simple.
what you did was illegal, and that's why how you ended up in jail or deported in this case.
No. She didn't.
Oh, yeah.
No. She did not do
You get
anything
deported
illegal.
because you
And-
did
and
something
know what?
illegal.
And you contradicting yourself. Because when we
No, I'm
opened
not.
the show, yes, you are. When we opened the show, you said this woman should not have been deported. That's what you said.
I agree with that.
Okay,
Based
well,
on
then-
what I know, based on what let me finish,
thank
please.
you.
Based on what I know,
Fine.
if she was going through the process, if she was
And
doing
she
everything
was.
legally,
And
if she came here,
No,
if she
you didn't
came
say all
here
of that.
legally through a point of entry,
You didn't say all
and
of
she was
that.
deported, I've got a problem with that, and I will defend her in that. That's separate.
Guess what?
That is separate from the other issue of this baby being deported with the mother that requested the baby to be with her. That's separate issues.
The mother did not request that, and you don't.
I don't know. Were you there, dude? How do you know?
The closest I can get is to her lawyer.
Oh, because you're
And you
MSNBC or CNN or some other state
Political and Fox and
yeah. Okay, so you just named all the fake news.
They're known to lie.
Well, yeah, and you know,
Yeah.
and Fox generally don't go along with the rest of them, and you guys know that.
No, we don't.
If anything, Fox would have defended if they knew they had a leg to stand on. They would defend it, and they always defend Trump, and you guys know that too. You guys know.
Just here recently, they didn't always defend Trump. Come on, they had a turnaround.
Oh yeah, really?
Yes, they did, and I know what I'm talking about.
You have a few like Jessica Tarlaw. She's the most brilliant one on Fox, and she calls them out daily.
Yeah.
You guys know oh yes.
She's a slug. Are you kidding me?
What? What do you call Jesse Waters? That Mickey Mouse lookalike. What do you call Jesse Waters?
Y'all, no name calling. Come on.
I can do whatever I want, Dr. Sims.
I'm going to stop. Dr. Sims.
Well, you know, people are so happy too.
I don't care. I can do whatever I want. Okay, because
you're entitled to be wrong, William.
He's a pig, and I'm right about that.
You guys are funny.
And how about that other goofball? What's that sits on there at the end? Is that Gutfield? Gutless Gutfield? That moron. And you smiling because you know I'm right about that. They are.
I'm not smiling because you say what you're saying.
I'm not talking to you, Dr. Sims.
Okay. Sorry.
You're so busy trying to defend Mike that you don't know.
I am not defending Mike. Don't you say that. Don't you put that out there. That's a plum lie. That's a plum lie. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, you always defend Mike.
I defend me. I defend truth. I defend logic.
You defend Mike.
Don't even try. If Mike says something that's real, I agree. If you say something that makes sense, I agree. Don't put me in that category because you're mad. Don't do it.
Yeah, you and Mike. It takes two of you guys.
Don't put us in because I done proved some stuff to you.
You ain't
don't try it.
One thing. That's all you know.
Don't try it.
That's all. One thing.
That's because one thing you just want to not
and guess what?
Believe
and guess
everything
what?
else.
And at least I admitted I was wrong, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, and I appreciated it. I did. Now calm down.
I don't have to calm down. This is not Miss Cece's kitchen.
I know what Miss Cece's kitchen is about, and I'll tune you up.
This is a Boomerang radio show.
Don't start with me.
I've already started.
I'll tune you up.
You ain't gonna do nothing.
You ain't big and bad.
Yeah, you can shake your head all the way.
That's right. That's right. And everybody better watch me do it too.
Don't get a crook in your neck.
I'm not gonna get no crook. I ain't got one yet, boo.
I ain't no boo. All right.
You a boo right now.
Look here. We'll talk later.
We ain't gonna talk later. I don't want you calling my phone.
I'll call you if I get ready.
No, you not.
I'll call you if I get ready. Or you don't have to. I don't care.
Leave a message and see if you get an answer.
You're gonna answer.
I'm not going to answer
because you just
you running stuff over my house.
You're just that nosy. You're gonna answer because you nosy.
And don't be calling me either because I got to go out and weed whack my yard. I got to weed whack.
I'm calling Dr. Sims. I'm calling Dr. Sims, and I'm calling you, Mike. That's right.
I'm going to be weed whacking.
You can whack all you want. I don't care.
I got to weed whack my yard. I don't have time for your call.
You don't have no. Guess what? You got dirt. You don't have any.
I got toilets to scrub. I got weed whacking to do. I got horses to feed. I'm not going to have time for your call.
You got dirt. So I'm calling both of you after this. So anyway,
you know what it's going to sound like?
I'm calling you. I don't want to hear it.
That's what it's going to sound like.
You guys take my call anytime I call. So
no, I don't. You want to? You know what? You think you all that in the bag of chips? Call me and see if it gets answered.
I'm calling.
Go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, William, call me so I can hang up on you.
This is exactly what I expected. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of the Boomerang. Yeah, I'm calling me right after I do this. Hey guys, hey, kick back because I got to relax a little bit. So be back in 50 minutes. I need to exhale with some music. Bye.
Got a headache.